Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back. I did just complete reading the first two chapters in part 16, and they were relatively short, so I thought I'm just going to film another video, and I'm going to read the last two chapters in part 16, which is titled Towards Completion. And so we're going to read 45 and 46. 45 is titled Farewell to Qumran. By this time, Daniel had become like an old friend, and I was aware how great a gift he had given us through this extended and detailed contact. This section is about the process of withdrawing, starting after the crucifixion with Daniel as an old man. Daniel, my community has been raided by those who wish to destroy our way of life. I have escaped, but now we all have to go our separate ways. We cannot go to Arid or Ein Gedi, as we know these are under threat too. I am old now and go to my cousin in Samaria to see out my few remaining days. At this point, Daniel's voice sounded very old and tired. Samaria was the name of the northern Israelite capital and the land around it. The capital lies about 40 miles north of Jerusalem. Samaria was considered as a separate administrative area during part of the Roman occupation period, as were Judea to the south of it and Galilee to the north. Joanna, did you visit Qumran on your journey north to Samaria? Daniel, my northward path took me near to Qumran, and I decided to call in one last time and see the place where I had spent so many happy hours. I had not been there for a long while, and I found the whole place sadly changed. In the library, only a few scrolls were left upon the almost empty shelves. I saw that even the writing materials and new scrolls for copying had been taken away, so I knew this was no longer an active working library. The few scrolls that remained were like the debris which the sea leaves behind upon the shore after a high tide, and I felt in my bones that the high tide of our brotherhood was now long past. And as each month went by, we got weaker as the tide ebbed away from us, never to return. Comment by Stuart. This explains why so few writing materials were found by the archaeologists at Qumran. When the scholars and scribes went, these things went with them. But to return to Daniel's account. Daniel, the great crystal had long since gone, of course, and all the beautiful machinery of the Kalu. The place had a sad and almost deserted air about it, and I saw very few faces that I recognized. When I walked around the gardens for the last time, there were now weeds completed with the few remaining flowers. I knew that the sweet dream of our order was over. A few brothers might linger for a while here or elsewhere, but the dream would never be sweet again. And these gardens would never echo to the eager talk of old friends and happy laughter of the children. When I took up my staff and resumed my journey, I resolved not to hold this sad, depleted memory of Qumran in my mind. Instead, I would remember it as it once was, full of joy and vibrant life, with many hands working together in happy harmony. For even the ordinary everyday tasks seemed lighter when shared by brothers and sisters who knew and loved the Essene way. I determined that my mind should echo still with the happy conversation and joyful laughter of those earlier days, so that I should remember Qumran in this way. For as long as one's soul carries this sweet memory, this spirit of Qumran will always live and will never be forgotten. This has been a difficult session for Stuart, and I could feel Daniel's emotion as he talked about seeing the place he loved now so much changed. I could see why he would not wish to linger there, as that would have brought up too much sadness for him, and I was glad he had found a happy thought to comfort him as he resumed his journey to Samaria. All right, so that was chapter 45, very short. Chapter 46, the last days of Daniel. We rejoined Daniel as he moved into the final stages of his life. He was now an old man living with relatives in Samaria. His voice sounded very old and tired at this point, and there were many pauses when he would stop and sigh before continuing. Daniel, There is just the view of the hills now, and I'm towards the end of my life. I'm staying with my cousin and his family, and I'm looking down from the hills, yes, and wondering if my old friends are all right. I have time to reflect on things now. So many things happened in my life, such an eventful life. We spread the light as much as we could, yes. He gave a deep sigh, and now my time is running out. Joanna, and in a way, you achieved much, didn't you? Daniel, yes, it has been a good life, but also an anxious one. Here he sounded very old and weary. Joanna, what do you remember most? Daniel, traveling around with Jesus. I had duties as an elder which kept me in my community some of the time, but I did as much traveling as I could. From going to village, yes, I remember that. Hearing him speak and watching him heal, I will always remember that. So many things I remember. The gathering in the cave and focusing the energies in our community. The meetings with my old friend Joseph and others, yes. Friends in other communities. The long road, the hot sun, the winding path. But at the end, a light and friends, a good meal, a little wine, and talk into the night. Yes, I remember these things. When we next encountered Daniel, we found him in the interlife, still reviewing his life, but now taking a larger and more detached view of things. So remember, the interlife is the space between your previous and your next life, however long that may be. I don't really think that time is measured in a way or a fashion anywhere near, if at all, like it is here on Earth and perhaps other planets. Daniel, I only survived a few years after the crucifixion. I was glad to go. Many of my friends were dead or had to leave. It became very difficult for us. Our community was overrun and I had to leave. I went to be with my cousin, but it was not the same. The great days of the Essenes were over, and even Qumran was going through difficulties. It was a sad time for our people. Joanna, did you make any vows at the end of your life? Daniel, I vowed to continue striving towards the light, yes, and to bring what I knew to those who would listen. Joanna, did you have any regrets looking back over that life? Daniel, I regretted the process of getting old, perhaps, and here he chuckles. I would have avoided that if I could, but real regrets, no. It was sad that I could not see my old friends again. One can accept that this is for good reasons, but one can still be a little sad that you do not see the face of an old friend. Yes, here he gave a sigh. Joanna, and what was the main lesson you learned in that life? Daniel, the power of love working in the heart. How strong this could be and how this love could be a blessing to all who touched it. Our hope was to see this love spread out until it would cover the earth, like a planet carpeted with flowers. Joanna, and when you look back now, how do you see your life fitting into the overall Essene pattern? Daniel, I can now see that I was born at a time when the pattern of Essene thought was about to change and develop more rapidly than at any time in our history. That development increased in speed during the period when Jesus was at the height of his powers. That was an exciting time for us, but also challenging, because Jesus was confronting us with new ideas, a new way of looking at the relationship with God. What had seemed to us so securely settled after a long period of turbulent development suddenly became fluid again. It needed great courage to go forward and trust into the unknown. When Jesus changed the focus from God in the heavens to God in the heart, only some within our order would fully accept this. Many of our brothers found this too challenging, and so they clung to the traditional form of the Essene way. Okay, so they didn't always believe that God was found within. They believed up until they were taught that God was within. He wasn't just in the heavens. And some of the Essenes accepted this and some didn't. And that's going to be the case for all humanity, present day, and for who knows how much longer, until more and more people open up to learning more and being open to learning it. It's not anything that you can control of others. Either it's in their plan or it's not. But it will eventually happen, whether it's this life or 50 lifetimes from now. This process of change and transformation swept through our communities like a tidal wave, fragmenting and eventually dispersing the brotherhood. But this had to be so in order for the new way to be established. Looking back over it all, it is now clear to me that this was all part of the necessary pattern of things. In the infinite garden, the old always has to give way and die a little, so that the new growth can come forth and flourish. Having got to this stage in Daniel's account, we can see his process of transformation reaching a climax as he moved towards a new understanding. He was letting go of the complexity of the mind and moving ever closer to the concept of God in the heart. Daniel the Essene was gradually becoming Daniel, the Gnostic follower of Jesus. Joanna, what do you remember most about Jesus? Daniel, how he made everything simple. His teachings were so simple: love, forgiveness, and seeking the truth within. When he spoke, all the complexities of the past dissolved into the simplicity of the way of the heart. He just loved and accepted everyone as they are, without judging them. At this point in the session with Daniel, there was a long pause, and when he spoke again, the voice seemed to come from a distant place of calm insight and remembrance. Daniel, this life was so intense, such a special time. Joanna, and what do you see when you look down at the Essenes still living on earth? Daniel, I can see that our main task is completed now. The main reason for us all coming together to provide support for Jesus and his work. All this has been accomplished. We will continue to preserve the knowledge, but our main task is done. Here he paused and gave a long sigh. There are cycles in many things, and the cycle of our movement is drawing to a close. The Essene tree is beginning to die. Its seeds continue in the hearts of those who shared in its beauty and its joy, and it may flower again at the end of the cycle, one brief and final flowering, and then it will be time for the completion of all things. All right, so that completes part 16, and we've got 2 parts left. So part 17 is titled Summation, and I think it's just a few short chapters. 47, oh, it's just 1 chapter. So part 17 is 1 decently sized chapter. Then we have part 18, which is titled Overview. That consists of chapter 48, continuing the story, and chapter 49, the conclusion. I may read parts 17 and 18 together because I think they're going to be, especially 17 is going to be a very short video. And I just want to close the chapter on all of the chapters in this book. And if you didn't follow my last video to the end with the first 2 parts of chapter 16, you wouldn't know this, but I wanted to let you guys know that when I'm done with this particular book, I'm going to be taking a little break from making videos in this way. I may come on and do videos related to subjects like this, but not reading. I will definitely still be putting out shorts that are inspirational and all the things that entails. But I have put out so much information just over this last year, and I really do feel like I need to take a step back, because even if people who are watching my videos aren't following every book and every chapter and every video, I am reading all of it, and I think it's time for me to take a little break and go within a bit more. When you're thrown so much information, you kind of lose sight a little bit on what your journey is and what you believe and where you kind of need to focus your energy. So after we're done with this book, a little break will be called for, and then I'll be back. And I think I've given you guys plenty of things to look at on my channel. I have lots of books that I've read. So hopefully that will suffice. And my shorts will hopefully keep my channel alive for a little bit. I'm not concerned with thousands of followers. I'm not concerned with thousands of likes, comments, and views. I'm concerned with the few people who find my channel and who resonate with it, because those are the ones that are ready to hear it. This is not content that is for everybody. It's content for specific people at a specific place, and depending on where you're at, you may match the genre that I'm reading or the subject that I'm reading, and you may never come across my channel again or watch it. And I'm okay with that. It's never been about that for me, for the popularity or the views or monetizing, none of that. It's always just been about putting this out here, whether it's one person or 50 that find my content and follow it. So thank you all so much so far for joining me, for subscribing, for liking, for commenting if you do, for sharing the videos with others that you feel may benefit or be interested. It makes more of a difference to this world than you'll ever know. When you grow and you improve and you do things to help yourself, you are not just helping yourself, you are helping those closest to you and the world overall. So thank you. Thank you for giving yourself that time and everybody else. Thank you very much. I love you all so much. I will see you for the last 2 parts of this book in our next video. And until I see you, I love you. Wait, I already said that, but I do love you. And take care of you and take care of those around you. Bye-bye until next time.